Hi, welcome back to Empathy in Action, where we talk to people who are giving back to our community. My name is Lynne Azarchi. I'm director of the Kidsbridge Youth Center and author of The Empathy Advantage. More about that later. I'm so thrilled to have a special guest with us here today, someone I've known for more than 10 years, Bruce Boyd. So welcome, Bruce Boyd.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you for having
I
me.
know you're a busy guy, so I really thank you for taking the time to talk to me, because one of the goals is to understand the people in our community who are giving back and why they give back with the empathy lens. So let's tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, thank you for having me again. And I am Bruce Boyd Jr., native Trentonian, and now live in Somerset County. Author, motivational speaker, curriculum developer, youth development specialist, and the list goes on and on and on. I started out almost 20 years doing this work of giving back to inner city youth who I felt needed a push and not fall into the stereotypical boxes that society has placed them in. And coming from that area and that neighborhood and that city of Trenton, I realized that it was more life and more to see outside of that city. And that's what I wanted to bring to the youth of Trenton. And it has expounded to Burlington counties, Mercer County, and now North Carolina. So we're moving and building our brand.
That's so exciting. Now, North Carolina, and then the nation, and then the world.
Yes.
And I know the kids love you. So I want people to understand the motivation. Like, what was there one moment, one epiphany where you decided, I want to help kids, I want to give back? What did that look like?
Well, it actually didn't start from giving back to a youth. It was when I met a group of guys, and I was the president of a national organization, Dads Are Doing Something.
Right.
And I met a group of guys, and we were going to schools and volunteer our services. However, they had to pass a background test check. And some of the guys did not bring back the forms, but they were actively involved. And one day, one of the gentlemen just pulled me to the side and simply said, I can't read. And
Wow.
It broke my heart. And so from that point on, it was my mission to help young black boys learn how to read. And from that one mission, it just spawned into just giving back for over 20 years now.
Wow, that is walking in the shoes of kids who can't read,
Right.
who can't cope, who we want these kids to aspire to social emotional skills. That's
Yes.
what Kidsbridge does, but also life skills. So from that reading epiphany, now I know you focus on elementary, middle school, and high school.
And
youth.
high school, yes.
So what is the gift, and I think it's a gift, that you're giving to these kids? What are your objectives and strategies and outcomes?
So we building our youth development on one simple standard is the power of belief. The power of belief and understanding purpose. With those two things, the world is yours to take. And simply, they're not getting that. You know, again, when you look at the news, when you look at media outlets, when you look at your environment, it makes it very hard for one to believe that they can be anything. Although people are saying it,
Right.
It makes it hard. And then on the other side of that is when they don't get outside of that environment.
Right, outside of the city.
Yeah, because every time, some people want to do good, they always want to bring people in to see our youth, and the
Right.
youth never get out.
Right.
My mission was to not bring people in, but to take our youth to where they are, because the lesson isn't just at the destination, the lesson is in the journey, so that they can see outside of their environment.
Right.
Yeah.
So at Kidsbridge, and full disclosure, you have done work and programs for, I think, middle school youth.
Yes.
And we've taken the kid on field trips to colleges, historically black colleges and universities. Hope. that these kids, like some of the kids don't think they're going to live past 21. I mean, it's so rattling that we give the kids hope and
Yes.
try to catch them in middle school at the very latest, that they aspire, they see a hopeful future for themselves, and they aspire to study, learn,
Yes.
and have academics so that they foresee a future for themselves.
Again, that's one of the biggest things, because again, walking in their footsteps, I had to go back and walk in my own. And what was I missing in school? And that was just what you just said. There was a pamphlet. Do you want to pick a school? Do you want to go to this school? Do you want? And you've never been there. You don't know the surroundings, and that fear factor comes in. And it's like, no, I'm safe here. And so,
Right. Fear of the unknown.
yes,
Yeah.
and so that's big, and for us, we needed to expose our young people to those colleges so they can just, we go on these trips and it's like, okay, stop, just take everything in,
Yeah.
just take it all in, don't walk past it, take it in. What don't you see? What do you see? Do you see yourself being here? And that's huge, because now it gives them a point of reference. Like, I remember going to this school and this happened. Not just, or versus, oh, I saw the pamphlet and it didn't look good to me,
Yeah.
So they had to have the real life experiences, and that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is
Yeah.
getting young people outside of their comfort zones and to debunk whatever fears they may have.
Yeah. Recently, Kidsbridge, we have an annual humanitarian celebration. We honored a doctor who works at Princeton, and he said that, and he was like on the precipice of a gang life and had that epiphany, oh no, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to choose this path. And he founded the Three Doctors Foundation to help
Right,
kids in
okay.
Newark. I forget his name, if you know it.
Yeah.
And so what he said was, we're asking these kids, it was like so, shocking. We're asking these kids to hallucinate that their world is so small, and if they've never left the city of Trenton, the city of Newark, to hallucinate to something they can't even imagine.
Right,
So that's
yeah.
what you are doing, and that's what I'm trying to do with Kidsbridge, to have these kids imagine the futures that they're not seeing. They may not have anybody in their family who's gone to college, and to imagine that they can be successful.
Yeah. So for us, it's like instilling that, be the first. If someone has already been in jail, you're not going to be the first at that, so discount that. If someone has already was a teen mom, discount that, or a teen dad, discount that. You don't want to be, you can't be the first. So if no one has ever gone to college, be the first. And so I think you're talking probably about Dr. Ramik Hunt of the Three Doctors.
Yes.
And definitely he's been a good role model for our youth, because we've taken them to Princeton to see him speak at a couple events.
Yeah.
And not only that, we've used his books, or the books that he's co-authored with his partners
Right,
in education.
the other two doctors, yeah.
So great reference, and absolutely the truth. The exposure is really, really big.
Yeah. So your personal journey, where you had an epiphany yourself, is revealed in your book. I know that you wrote a book. Do you
Yes.
want to talk about your life, and then why you felt that it was powerful to encapsulate this in a book, I assume, to inspire other kids to
Right.
take the journey that you decided to take?
So my book, entitled Evolution, just looks at my life as one of hope, but yet some despair within it, and overcoming that despair, and achieving beyond my wildest dreams. Like, I'm here with you, Lynn, talking. I mean, I wrote a book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just amazing what one can do when they believe in themselves. And so for all of you out there, the power of belief is real. And all you have to do is just take one foot in saying, I can do something, and it will the world will open up to you. And that's what this book is about. It's just saying that, hey, listen, look at me. I was what society would call a broken home when my parents divorced, and I was thrown into the projects, and the projects was something that no black boy should get out of. But and to look at those who did get out, society really gives a hand clap to the drug dealer who then turns his life around. But what about the boy who just struggled along the way and stayed right? They don't really put a lens on that.
Right.
And so that's what I wanted to do with the book, is to say, listen, there's a right and there's a left. If you stay right, the world will open up to you just like, or even more opportunities for you than the one who has gone left and found their way back to right. So I wanted young people to encourage young people to stay on the right path.
Okay. So in my book, what I've learned from KidsBridge, working with kids for so many years in the schools and at the center, is to scaffold empathy. So I have 3 stages, and I want to discuss the 3 stages. And this is to help, any youth really from anywhere in New Jersey or anywhere in the nation. And the 3 steps that I've learned about, measured successfully, that this is how kids can advance themselves and help others. So number 1 stage is empathy for oneself, right? You have to start with yourself. You have to have that core of resilience and persistence and advocating for oneself. And I think our kids today don't know how to do that. And I think adults don't know how to do that.
Right.
So that's stage 1. And then I want to talk about empathy for others, because I think that we're in a world where, very sadly, you see people don't care about the other, whether you're a minority or not in my tribe or not in my family, empathy for others. So I want to sort of scaffold that for kids from Trenton, the kids we're trying to help anywhere in New Jersey. And then the final stage is really empathic action, where you're helping other people, right? Because if I feel, we do a lot of bullying at KidsBridge, so if I feel sorry for Taquan, who's being bullied, and I don't do anything, that doesn't help Taquan. So let's start with stage 1, empathy for yourself, self-compassion. Is that something you do with your Boyd programs?
Oh, definitely. We have one activity where each child is given a mirror, and they have to just look in that mirror.
I love this.
Right? Look in the mirror for 5 minutes without doing anything. And believe 5 minutes is actually a long time.
It sounds long.
It's a long time. And so once you look in that mirror for 5 minutes, we're just giving them tell me what you see, tell me how you feel, and tell me what you can do.
Wow, that's heavy.
That's real heavy, because it's not just like, oh, I'm pretty, or oh, I need to get my hair cut.
This. You're digging deeper.
Right, you have to go deeper. When you see this person in this mirror, what do you feel? What do you feel for this person? Because every day we look in the mirror, right?
But we're not
But we're not thinking when we look in that mirror. We're not. You're right. We're not really seeing us, the core of who we are. So when young people do that exercise, if some of them for the first time, they actually see themselves.
Wow. I'm getting chills.
So
I love that.
And
you thought of this yourself?
Yeah, because
you're brilliant, Bruce Boyd.
This is 20 years of doing this work. It's like, how do you stay relevant? How do you combat the social norms? How do you get rid of these stereotypes? How do you get people to see people? How do you get them to see themselves? And in this workshop, it's called Me Versus Me, and it's really about your first relationship you have to have is a relationship with yourself.
Amen.
And then we can move on to how we can have relationships and see empathy. But if you don't see it within you, and if you don't feel it you can't help anyone else.
That's that. It's job 1. It's stage 1.
Right.
So at KidsBridge, we have an activity where it's similar but different. What are you good at? And what do the kids say? I'm good at sports. I'm good at arts and crafts, I'm good at in school. No. Dig deeper.
Yes.
You as a person, what qualities, what personality traits? So we're searching for, and we give the kids the words. I'm good working in a team. I'm good taking care of myself. I'm good helping my mother or my father. I'm good with perseverance or, resilience. So those qualities that kids don't think about. And I've worked with middle schoolers that have epiphanies that they never realized. And I'm segueing a little bit, but there was one girl, sometimes we get these sharings that blow my mind. There was a middle schooler who said, I didn't realize other people were bullied. Millions of kids are bullied.
Right.
So it was sort of shattering to me that she might have been in 8th grade, that she wasn't seeing that she wasn't the only one. So she left the center realizing thousands of kids, it just wasn't her.
So she was more empowered.
Kids get so isolated.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So now let's talk about empathy for others. In the way you're inspiring these kids, with all the knowledge you have, is it important for the kids to feel for their peers, their teachers, their families? Can you reflect on that for a minute?
It's very important because when they do, it's a community. So what we want to do is show it as the unity in that community. Right? So we have to pull out that unity and say, listen, one exercise we do is, for that, we have a ball of yarn or string, and you give it to one person, and you tell them to say something nice and about someone else, and you throw it, to the other person. And before long, this string is all over the place. And then I get in the middle of there, and I say something really mean and nasty to someone, and I pull that string. And because it's so tight, everyone in this circle feels the hurt of those words from one person.
I love it.
Directed at another, but everyone else feels it. And that is the best example that I know.
Oh, that's so symbolic. I love
that
it. We're all connected.
We're all connected.
Yeah.
We're all connected. So in that circle, you'll have the person who was bullied and who was the bully, and they have those epiphanies like, wow, yeah, I felt those words. And so
you're showing them rather than just like preaching and telling them.
Absolutely.
Like I call it finger wagging. It's emotional. Like I felt that. That's
all of our workshops, all of our sessions are pretty much interactive, because it's so much better when they can feel it than just hearing it. So we want to let them hear it. We want to let them feel it. We want to let them experience all of this, because then they walk out saying, wow. So if I say something to Lynne, it's not just to Lynne, it's everyone around Lynne.
Very profound.
And so
I love that. We're a community.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And caring about others. That's I'd like to segue to belonging, because in the research, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, that when kids feel they don't belong at home, in sports or in a school classroom, it's really devastating. So it's sort of woven with hope. But can you reflect on some of the stuff you do and the importance of belonging somewhere? Because the statistics, especially, with COVID, and hopefully we're post-COVID, who knows, but this sense of isolation of kids trapped in their homes, or being isolated from their peers, reading that preschoolers don't even know how to be in a classroom, right? And that high schoolers are acting like middle schoolers now. So COVID has really hurt all of us.
Right.
I think especially the kids, especially the little ones, especially elementary, middle, high school, college, where you lose 2 years of your life. So can you talk about belonging or COVID a little bit?
So coming out of COVID, or wherever we are in the midst of it, but getting back into in-personal
Which you are.
in
You're
person,
back in
yes,
person.
in person
Yeah, and we are too.
lessons. What I found is we've developed more teamwork activities where we're grouping them more together instead of the individual competition side of things, but let's work together as a team. And one of the things that we encourage these days is when we're picking teams is no longer picking two captains and have them pick, because then there's always somebody who you don't want to be the last person picked. So what we've just incorporated is a 1-2-3 system. So all the ones, all the twos, all the threes, and then no one feels like they're left out.
Right.
So then from that, now you're grouped, and in that grouping, you have these activities that you must work together with, and so again, for them to be alone for so long, just seeing the dynamics, the smiles, the communication that goes on, we're getting back to some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
But
it's going to take a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. It takes more lessons.
Rusty.
Yeah.
Kids are rusty. So the last phase is empathic. On the lens of empathy is we need to take action, especially today.
Yes.
So can you talk about, and I think the last thing you talked about is that for bullying, say, where we live in a bystander society, the classrooms are bystanders, and a few mean people or bullies are taking over. If the majority would take action, we would be in a much better place. So I think we need to take kids to take action, and here's what I'm very proud of with Kidsbridge is we practice taking action. So it's like, do the right thing, do this, do that, but the kids have to practice, I think, advocating for themselves and others. It's action. Can you speak to action?
So, yeah. And one of the biggest things I've realized, Lynn, is young people don't know the word love. They're not told love enough. They don't hear I love you enough. And sometimes what they see as perceived, quote, the air quotes, perceived loved, isn't love at all. Because in some of these family dynamics, if they see parents who argue and fight, and then next thing you know, they're kissing and say, I love you, in the eyes of this child, it's okay to be abusive, to be bully,
right?
Because that's what love is.
That's what they say.
And so what we've done is just simply ask young people, what is love? And so to ask them, what is love? What does love look like? And everything you see isn't always what it is.
Interesting.
So we have to first find out where they are. Right? And how they see it. And then say, well, that could be a norm in your house, but that's not a real norm in society of what love is. And so, I'm a big advocate of giving a kid a hug. Giving a hug and a smile goes a long way. And just something like, you can do it. Those three things.
They don't hear these things. A lot of kids don't hear these
A lot of kids don't hear that.
Yeah.
And so when you start to encourage them in that sense, not, I can't believe you just said that, or I can't, no, we got to come back and say, hey, come here, give me a hug first.
Right.
Give me a high five.
They probably don't even know what to do with it.
It
could be like a strange thing. And they're not seeing love in the media.
No.
I mean, we could talk about the media for an hour, but I'm especially upset about the prevalence of the reality shows. Mean, stab in the back, nasty, and then, a lot of the music and the poetry against women and, glorifying drugs, and we're climbing mountains here. We have to do something. But so we are climbing.
And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're teaching them that, again, everything you see isn't always right. So, and
don't join in.
Absolutely.
And have the courage to do the right thing.
Right. One of the things that I loved about working with you, Lynn, is the word that I got out was bystander. bystander and upstander.
Yay.
Those two things, like, are you just going to stand by and watch that? Because you know, you're watching that today.
Right.
It could be you tomorrow. That could be you tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So don't you understand, when you stand up for someone, now you have joined forces.
Right.
It's better to stand up, because two can bring the one to that other side. Now you have three. But if one-on-one and one-on-one, you're not going to win this. And so the thing that I love about Kidsbridge is understanding the tolerance and teaching young people how to be upstanders, how to stand up not just for themselves, but for others. And again, that brings back the whole unity in the community aspect, whether it's the school community, whether it's their home community,
Yes.
and the world community, you know?
Yeah,
So
well, that's the gift I got from Kidsbridge, and I try to encapsulate in my book, and why I'm trying to do this show in a way to inspire people. There are so many things that need fixing, and so many people that need help. Or community, do one thing, do one little thing. I mean, you're devoting your whole life to this, as I am too, but everybody can do one little thing. They can go read to a child. I mean, third grade is pivotal. Go read to a child in Trenton, or look at Ukraine, help there. So I'm sorry we have to close this one awfully quick, but can you tell the viewers just a little bit about your book and where to find it?
So you can find my book on my website. Is IamBruceABoydJr.com. Again, IamBruceABoydJr.com. The book is Evolution. It's 130 something pages, really light read, geared towards those in middle school to high school. And what I found is a lot of adults have written back and said, hey, thank you for this, because it was a lot that I didn't know about myself that I realized in your book. So I wrote it for that specific age group, but so many people are benefiting from reading the book. So it's IamBruceABoydJr.com.
And I read it and it was great.
Thank you.
So thank you for what you do. Thanks for coming in to speak today. You inspire me, and I'm hoping you're inspiring others. So this is Lynne Azarchi, Empathy in Action. Come visit the Kidsbridge website, kidsbridgecenter.org, or check out my new book, now in paperback, The Empathy Advantage, Coaching Children to be Kind, Respectful, and Successful. Thanks for visiting us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.